Anthony Casuccio is a seasoned music veteran who's returning with a fresh sonic journey in Systematic, a 5-track EP that showcases his evolved sound, blending captivating EDM-inspired pop melodies with his signature guitar prowess. And Anthony is with us here. How are you today?
I'm doing great, and I'm happy to be here.
So, your new release is of course called Systematic. So, what was the inspiration behind this musical journey, and how does it differ from your previous stuff?
So I'm gonna switch this around. So it's this song and this release, this EP is kind of the next step in my evolution of the sound from my last release. So it's definitely, like you mentioned, it has the EDM sound, it has some of the rock and some of the pop and some of the guitar.
Yeah.
I just kind of dove this time, I think, more in the pop field. The beats are not as heavy as my last release, Emotional Lockdown, and that was done, during COVID. This release was more inspired by life events, having some fun with some technology and wanting to really focus on my ability to try to sing and come up with some very catchy melodic hooks and kind of integrate those with some cool EDM styled backing tracks that I created and then playing live. A lot of the stuff that I've done on here is live. My voice, my guitar playing and everything, it's done in very few takes. It's raw. And although I want a polished sound, I didn't want to remove that humanistic ability and over computerize and take the sounds and just kind of wash them out. I wanted it to have some real emotion to it.
So how did you incorporate the catchy melodies and EDM style pop influences while still showcasing your love for the guitar?
Well, I think when I was composing the songs and then creating the rhythms, I left space to put some guitar tracks in. On some of them, you might hear some acoustic in the background and some strumming. But I also, made sure that there was some sort of guitar solo in every song. And you don't hear guitar solos that much in pop music anymore.
No.
There's not a lot of pop guitar out there on the market. I think that's why this is resonating with a lot of people. If you're into really heavy music, sure, there's guitar. But if you're into pop music, there's none. So I'm trying to walk that fine line of catchy hooks, pop music, but also putting in some really well-regarded and well-thought-out guitar solos that are going to catch the eye and ear of people who are looking for that.
Yeah.
So I just left space and incorporated that and made sure that it didn't sound forced. That's kind of my whole premise in this. It's just got to feel good. It's got to work. If it doesn't, I didn't use it, but it did on every song. So I'm happy about that.
How do you manage to make it not sound forced?
That's a great question. I think, it just has to feel right to me. It just has to flow. So if I'm playing the part, it's got to come out and it's got to feel right. If I have to do a lot of work to make it sound good, correct it, fix notes or fix rhythms, then it's just not right. And I'm just like, okay, I'm done with that. I'm moving on. Let me try again. And if I do more than a few takes and it doesn't work, I just leave it and go on to something else. I'm not going to force it. I want this organic feeling to be injected into the songs. And that's what I do with my vocals as well. It's got to work, or I just move on and try something else.
Now, the first single from Systematic is the love positive track titled Lighthouse. So what's the story or message behind that track?
It's a mixed message, to be honest with you. It is. I say it's a love song because, sure, I've pulled from some stuff from my life and put it in there, but it might not necessarily be one person. It might be my love for life or my, certain things in life that have given me some guidance. So it might be people in my life who have given me guidance who are not necessarily love interests, but who are influential on my life and helping me keep moving forward. And that's kind of what it's like. Is we all need to have people in our life who are going to be a beacon. We're going to have our best interests at heart. We're going to be there to help us work through some troubling times. We all have troubling times in our life. Who are the people that you can rely on who are going to help you move forward? Who are going to be that beacon, who are going to be that lighthouse and help you weather that storm and move on to safety, or as I like to say, who are going to help you move on to a happier place. Yeah. And that's what the song is about.
And we all have struggles in our lives, particularly if you're in the music industry, I suppose.
Yes.
So how has your own approach or perspective of the industry evolved over time?
Well, it's interesting. The music industry is changing on a daily basis. I mean, we went from, analog to digital. Then we went to all of a sudden downloads and MP3s. And then the downloads are gone. CDs are gone. Now it's all streaming. Now we have TikTok. We've got social media. So for me, I've really tried to maintain the knowledge of what's happening. Besides being an engineer and a producer and an artist, I also teach. So it behooves me to be up on what's going on. So I stay up with that. And the one thing that hasn't changed is hard work. You have to put out a really good product. You have to reach out to people. You have to promote yourself. You have to use general marketing, approaches that work in a modern digital world with social media. But you still have to let people know you're there. You're a needle in a haystack. So for me, it's posting, it's using social media, it's writing a press release, it's reaching out to people and being social, like one-on-one, actually sending someone an email or trying to phone call them, not sending out a bulk email, trying to build relationships. And I think over the past, maybe 10 years of me releasing music, I've really built up a network of contacts who know when I reach out to them and send them things, they know it's a good product. They know it's going to be a good song. And I think that's helped. But I'm using traditional means of doing that. No bulk emails, no just posting it. It's building relationships. And that's really what I think is important in this day and age when everybody's hiding behind a phone or behind an avatar and hiding behind their anonymous social media posts. Being real really makes a difference.
Do you have to work even harder these days? Because you mentioned TikTok, and that's something that is short form, isn't it? So people that use that probably anyway tend to have shorter attention spans. You need to grab people's attention within a second. Otherwise, you've lost them forever.
Yes. Well, that's a really interesting point here because your content has to have a visual aspect to it now. So you have to have some sort of visual aspect. When you're writing songs, you have to make sure you get them in the first 30 seconds because if they skip it, guess what? You don't get the play. You don't get the stream. So you have to do things to get their attention. That does definitely affect songwriting, but then social media, you have to create ongoing amount of content. You have to create a lot of content to post. And that's where I don't have a team doing it. So I fall short sometimes on creating content. So they say, take your music video, cut it up into 20 segments, every day post that. And that's 20 days worth of content.
Yeah.
But it gets repetitive and redundant. But that's also part of the trick, I guess. People hearing stuff repeated is what gets them to think about it and burn it into their brain. But, that's what it is. It's short, sweet, to the point, and often.
Because it'll grow on them. Even if they didn't think much of it the first time, they might start to like it.
Yes, absolutely. So that's the trick.
Yeah.
Kind of like a commercial, you got to treat it like a commercial. And hey, listen, I know a lot of artists, this is my blood, this is my sweat. I'm not treating it like a commercial. Well, you got to. It's a business. It's music business, There's that business aspect. You have to treat it as such.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier that you don't tend to hear guitar solos as much in music anymore, but of course you're still doing it. So do you think there's still an appeal for them?
Absolutely. So it's interesting. My songs have seemed to resonate in the UK and in Europe and overseas versus the United States because I've found that the guitar overseas is still somewhat relevant.
Yeah.
Where here, unless it's country music, there's no guitar in pop. But there are people who want that. A lot of people who are listening to pop music are sliding over towards country because they're missing the guitar, but they don't necessarily like the country music. So for me, I found that the guitar is turning some people on, and it's helping me grow my fan base of all ages, even some older people who might not really be interested in the pop/EDM sound I have, but they love good melodies, they love good singing, and they love the guitar, so it seems to help. So, there's a swell now of this kind of punk music that's coming up with like Wet Leg and, the Beaches and Boy Genius, but it's more pop, new age type of guitar throwback to the 80s. So I think that's helping me too, because, people are still seeing some of the guitar, but, what's old again is new again, right? So I'm kind of playing on that and using that to my advantage.
Well, your music has done quite well in the UK, actually, with multiple songs breaking into the top 20 on UK independent charts. So how does that make you feel?
Makes me feel great. You know why? It makes me feel that what I've created is turning people on. And that's what it's all about. I just want people to like my music. I'm not here to be famous or anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take $1 million, but no, the reality is it's a great feeling. It makes me feel good knowing that people are listening to my music by choice, their choice, and they like it. So, we were talking about the music industry. One of the things I do is I look at data quite a bit, and I look at the, what's going on with data and listening and streaming and where, and it's just such a thrill to be like, oh my gosh, 250 people listen to one of my songs today.
Yeah.
I would never imagine ever think about that. So that's a good feeling, and the fact that it's all over the place. It's not just in my hometown. It's primarily everywhere else but my hometown. So that makes me feel really good.
And what do you think about the money? Because people are complaining about this all the time, musicians, where you could have huge numbers of people listening to your music but get 7 pence from it if you're lucky. Do you think that it's something that needs to be improved?
You know what? I'm not sure about that. They're not making a lot of money off of streaming. Okay. So, but how do you charge someone to listen to your song once and they don't own it? It's not downloaded.
Yeah.
So I think I think there's room for improvement. There's definitely room for improvement where I think artists can make a little bit more money. I definitely agree with that. But it's not like someone's buying a CD or downloading a track. They're just listening to it and then it's gone. So I think that we could improve that a little bit monetarily, but the money is really in touring and selling merchandise and connecting with fans and selling your T-shirts and stuff on the road and in shows. That also builds your fan base, and for established artists, they're getting sponsorship deals. That's where there's money as well. So there's money out there. It's just going and finding it and establishing the right relationships to build that credibility and get those dollars.
And how do you see the music industry evolving in the coming years?
It's changed so much just in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years ago, 6 years ago, people were downloading tracks. So you could make 67 cents on a 99-cent song. The artist could, now that's gone away. And now it's streaming. It's using social media. It's TikTok. So I'm not really sure. My thought is that there's going to be another platform kind of like TikTok, that's going to maybe be more music-centric or more accessible to students. I'm sorry, not students, but musicians that will maybe be a little bit more worthwhile to spend time on for musicians to push their music. But I'm not really sure, social media is where it's at because that levels the playing field. But again, you're also a needle in a haystack, so you still have to do traditional things to be discovered.
Yeah.
So that's a tough question, and I'm not sure I have the answer, which is unlikely for me because I usually always have the answer. I think we're going to continue where we're going. That's basically what it's going to be. It's going to be another website, another platform, but similar to where we are.
Well, what's coming up for you? Are there any projects or new EPs or whatever that you're particularly excited about?
So a couple things. I'm still pushing this EP. I might release a second single off of it. I'm not sure which song it will be, but I would like to do that and put a video out for it. I've also come up with another track that I'm finishing up in the studio. It's a little heavier. It's very guitar-centric. It's kind of like Iron Maiden meets The Prodigy with some pop melodies. It's crazy. So I might push that this fall. I'm not sure. I've been in the studio working with other artists, so I'm excited about that. I've got some other projects that are definitely outside of my genre that I release music in. So it's good to lend my musicality and my production chops to help other people reach their vision. So that's where I'm doing right now, as well as promoting this. So I think you're going to hear another single from me or have a new song entirely. That's what's coming up.
Sounds exciting. And in the meantime, this new EP is called Systematic. Where are we able to find that? Is it just in all those streaming places?
It's everywhere. Any place that you can stream or download music, you will find this, including SoundCloud. Find me on Spotify, say that you heard me on this interview, reach out to me on social media and say hi.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, many thanks for talking to us today. It's been great having you on.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful, and I appreciate the support and inviting me to be on. Thank you so much.